right, is it going? Is it going? Yeah. Yep. All right. Hey, my name's Eric. Making a game. The game is called The Godkiller. It is a 3D top-down puzzle-solving adventure game. No COVID. Yeah. Okay. So let me demo. Let me demo recent progress. I've got this little headline up at the top. It says, "Oh, it's wrong. It's not February 7th. I need to update it." It says, "Faces only when people talk," and I'm going to change the date to the correct one. It's like I jumped on a little too quick here. I didn't update all my titles. I'm going to leave the session mission here. Faces only when people talk. Because I promised it last session, but I was not able to do it because I saw two other bugs that I had to fix before I could allow myself to continue. I can't remember what both the bugs are. I remember what one of them was, though. It was a big pain in the ass. Let me hit play. Okay, so when characters talk, there's supposed to be faces that pop up above them only while they talk. But right now I've got it in a debug mode where the faces are above the characters all the time. So I come up over here. You can see down below, there's another face over the top of this character. It's not the right art. It's the same artwork copied across because me or somebody else has to draw a face for this character. I drew this one here. There's a good chance I'll draw all the faces for all the characters. There's not that many to do, and they'll be the same style, and it won't take me that long to do it. So I'll probably draw all the other characters too. The trouble was that the place where this face joins up with the character underneath was moving around a large amount, depending on where I was in the level. Now, I'm not going to be a purist about it. I'm not going to try to get it to be exactly in the same spot. It's really kind of ambiguous what the same spot is, too. Like the distance from the top of the head or midway through the body. The size of the head in proportion to the character underneath is going to change. So it's a little ambiguous. But for the most part, this is pretty right on. And I have a couple of variables. Well, I've got 4 variables that I can tweak that will help set this more accurately if I need to. But for now, I'm pretty happy with the results. There's this guy, Cicada Forest, who was on, I say guy, I don't know he's a guy. Could be a she. He gave me an idea, and like I almost don't want him to hear that he was right, because he's been right on too many things. He said, just add a screen offset to this whole thing. Not a world space offset like I had, but in addition to the world space offset, add a screen Y offset. And that fixed it for the most part. Like I said, I think there might be a little more tweaky business in the future on it, but it's good enough to keep going. And I may not actually have to change anything else on it. I may not need more tweaking. It kind of depends like what situations the characters are in when they're talking. I might discover like a certain case where if, like say Billy is up above me on a level, the head looks really wrong or something like that. But I think it's good. It's good enough to continue, and I don't know of any work that is correct for me to do on it at this point. Okay, so what I'd like to do in this session is get the faces to only appear when the character is talking. So right now, the hands are talking. Oh, that's another thing. Like God, I think I want him to have like a little mouth in the middle. But yeah, okay. So when these two characters talk, though, let's see. I'll make Billy talk and say something. Okay, Billy said, "I didn't like it." What should happen is the face is invisible until he says, "I didn't like it," and then the face appears over the top of him with an appropriate emotion, frustration perhaps. And then there's another aspect to it. When I have the voiceover audio, the lip movements will be synchronized with the audio too. But for now, in this session, I just want to get these faces to be hidden until the character that they're attached to speaks. Then they will show for the duration of the line. After the line disappears from the screen, or the subtitle line, they'll fade out kind of slowly, the face, and they'll come back to full opacity if the character says another line. So anyways, that's the mission for this session. I think I can get the basics of it working in this session. I might be able to get it 100% completed, but I suspect I'll get the basics of it working, and they'll need some refinements over the next session or two. No COVID, I swear. I've always been a guy with lots of extra coughs, and yeah, I don't know what that means. I think it has something to do with my lungs and how. Anyways, don't worry. Just don't worry about me. I talk to doctors and stuff. It's just that's how I am. Okay. Let's start a new pocket design here. The requirements. You can think of this like a state machine, really. Not speaking to speaking. Face fades in quickly. With set emotion. Okay. Speaking to not speaking, face fades out slowly. Speaking to speaking, next line. Face stays at speaking opacity. And a new emotion can be set. Ducked camera causes, continues to, let's see, duck camera. Existing behavior for hiding faces is applied. Speaking opacity value set independently. All right, so thinking about this a little bit. First solution. Oh, this is done. Bam. Nice. I'll say, let's see. Fix silent error. This is a different problem. This stuff's niche. Just didn't want to lose track of that other problem. Okay, number one solution. Speech module. Let me close all these guys and just start putting in just what I need so it's less cluttered. Speech, where is it? Is it speech explicit update? Yeah. That's the best way to do this. Just for now, I'll say set speaking status of a face. That's not specific enough. There's more problems to solve there, but for now, just let that sit there. Okay. Speech, say, pretty sure I want this to get pulled out into a separate class. This thing about when you have a class that's inside of another class, I think my new policy is that if anything uses it outside of this class, I don't want there to be like a little, what's the word for it, subclass, nested class inside of the main one, because then every place else that I use it, I have to say, which event do I want? I want speech events.event, and I could just have a separate class that's speech event. So let's just say under settled, this means like no matter which option I pick, I'm gonna do this thing. Speech events event to speech event. Okay. Now I want to check for emotions. Where are my emotions? Here we go. Do we have one that means don't set it to anything? Seems like we do not. Are enums nullable? Let me just write a tiny bit of code and I'll know. Emotion equals null. Does that work? No, it does not. Okay. I don't need it. Okay. Because you can just set all the emotions explicitly, and I think that works. Okay. What else? Just trying to think what's the right plumbing for that. Face controller. If it's face controller, that makes sense, because inside of explicit update, I do have an instance of the face controller there. So I could say set is speaking. True, or let's see, bool is speaking, or set is speaking. Okay. And there's already face controller set emotion. Okay, so that function will also be able to tell if I should be fading or not. Alright, the only thing tricky about this is maybe all the other logic that's there around fades and keeping it from getting confused between all the different states it has to keep track of. So let's detail this out a little bit. Okay, let's see. If set is speaking equal is true, do this stuff. Else, set is speaking is false. Okay. If already speaking I think it's the same in either case. Fade to speaking opacity. Okay, then my question is, do I need to check reduct here? Else it's set to false. Let me say fade to, this might be real simple. Because my update routine has got stuff that overrides the fades already. So I could do fade to 0 and just hide it. I think also set mouth. We can set the mouth to not talking, or set the viseme to not talking, or set the viseme to rest. That's what it means, not talking. Okay. Otherwise, this is a little bit of a hack until I get the voiceover audio in. Actually, you know what? I can say set viseme to if no lips available for speech clip. Okay. I think this is pretty good. My wife asked me to grab her a snack. She's at work, working from home downstairs. I'm just going to go get her some grapefruit and drop it off at her desk, and I'm going to come back up. While I'm down there, I'm going to think about these potential options. Yeah, I might write a number 2, but number 1's looking pretty good. So I'm even just going to leave the screen up, which I usually don't do, in case anyone wants to see what I'm doing while I'm gone. Alright. Back to it. Alright. I'm looking at number 1. I'm just going to think briefly. Is there another way to do this that might be better? So the one thing that gives me pause is having this emotion thing here. Let me try one other thing, because this tacking on the emotion is kind of a hack. It's supposed to come from a different location. I'm also being reminded that some of these other functions like silence all need to stop people from talking. And there's all these say now if new, say if new. I kind of want to do it. What is actually calling these? There is some code that's calling this. It's interesting because it does mess up my subtitles a little bit. Alright, but let me not go off on a tangent with that. Okay, so let's say it's going to return a string. Okay, I think I do have an improvement. If I did that, then I could also do that, something like that. Okay, because in the end, I don't think that I want the emotions to come from the level controller. I think I want them to come from the authored events that go with the audio file, which I call LIPS, L-I-P-Z. It's a format I came up with. That might migrate to a timeline animation that has some events that set emotions on it. But basically, if you play a WAV file that has some audio in it, there's already some meta information that I've added that has different visemes or lip animation movements in it. So that would be the best place to put emotions. It's something I've done in the past. I'll show you an example. Let's go to YouTube, C-Space Labs, C-Space Animation. No, not that one. Yeah, it's going to be down towards the bottom. I always set out to show this and then it's no, it's not working. Like, it doesn't show the thing that I want. Never mind. It's not that important. I need to close some things here. Private things. All right. Okay. So this would just be kind of like an easily removable thing. But it's pretty easy to remove it from up here too. That's the thing. Also, I need to remember my other events. Speech, silence all. Wow. So I wrote this warning to myself about the face controller instances or other scene objects going invalid and what problems it might cause. I will make a reset on this. I will take my own advice here. Okay. So if that's true, then I can iterate through the characters in any with face controllers. Call set is speaking false. But in order for that to work, I need to also write characters, reset, called by main object, clears transforms face controllers pieces on characters. Okay. Okay, if I call reset from main object start, there could be a different order of start being called between character animation binder, which has start methods as well. Yeah, so here it's going to set this stuff. But suppose it character animation binder sets that stuff, and then the reset call gets done next. And this is even being called in awake as opposed to start. I don't know why I did awake. I could set that to start and set the other one that resets on awake. Stuff like this makes me think I should never even use the life cycle events of mono behaviors. I should just have one main start that's responsible for calling all the starts of everything else. But then it kind of becomes a pain in the ass when you have not singletons, but individual game objects that can't be found by singleton patterns. So yeah, okay, I do need to think about that a little bit. This can be awake. Dang it. I got hard again. Because if I set this to start, I feel like there might have been a reason why I put it in awake. Okay, there's another way to do it. You can do characters reset. I feel like this should just spin off a little bit into another thing, another pocket design, because there's different ways to do it, and I don't really want to nest them in here. I'll play with this a little bit longer, see if remove, or let's say rename like to init, which is like a not a life cycle called function. Make this be called init as well. Or whatever it's called, you know, character animation binder. And then here I'll just call init for each character animation binder. Let me take a look at that code again. What does it do? Yeah, and then I don't need to do characters find by name. That would be like a recursive call. What I can instead do is Java show. Hey, what's going on? Don't know if I am pronouncing your handle correctly. That's good. Glad your internet is working. Whew. I can't be tired. I got like a fairly complex thing to embark upon here. Okay. So all that, just so I can say on the speech silence all, I can safely iterate through these characters. Call this set of speaking false. God, there's a lot here. I don't know if this is a real improvement. I know this is kind of a hacky method here, but removing this when I don't need that hack anymore. Let's see. There's one other reason to do it. There's say. There's also say if new. Yeah. Okay. So if I say that I'm going to pass a motion, if I decide I'm going to pass a motion to the say function, then that implies I have to also have it passed to all these other ones, these variants of it, and yeah, it just seems kind of bothersome. Let's do a number 3 option. I think number 3 is what I want. I think that's what I want. I don't know why they couldn't have nullable enums, but this is fine. Okay, there's a lot there. I'm gonna get going on it. A lot. Okay, speech events. Let's just do these one at a time. Okay, just making sure everything builds. I'm not sure why it wouldn't, but okay, cool. And let's add a new class. These nested classes, they're not so good. I only want to use them if the nested class truly is not used anywhere else. So I don't know, like it's not used outside of that class that it's nested inside of. Okay, you belong in the Godkiller namespace. Okay, so I've got that there. Now this thing's broken, but it's all right. We'll just go fix it. Okay. Just make sure I don't have any more of those event. The old event type. Okay. Really? Okay, that's cool. I think its recommendations are pretty good. There we go. Let's see, what else? What else do you think I should do, writer? For this one, we could say if it's null or continue. There. Same thing here. I'm curious if I let it automatically do it, if it doesn't do exactly what I just did. Hold on. Yeah, it's pretty close. Cool. All right, let's see what breaks when I build. Yep. But in this case, I get to make some nicer looking code, more compact. Yeah, let's just do all these in one search and replace. Okay, now we'll build. Let's see. Okay. So that's one change made. Let's see. Public emotion. Lethal error. Hello. Can I see sharper now? I feel like you're making a joke I don't understand yet. I did order some glasses. I don't know if that's related to what you're talking about. C sharp. There it is. There's the pun. That's terrible, man. That's really bad. You should be ashamed of yourself. Let me think. Is there some better way of expressing this? Start emotion. I'll just make a note. Only used when lips data is unavailable. First, I thought you might be like someone from my personal life that like figured out how to get on my stream, because last week I went into optometrist and I got a new prescription. I haven't. Yeah. Anyways, it was like kind of coinciding with my real life, and I was like, wait, who is this? Who is this really? I like C sharp okay though, it's not bad. Let's see, start emotion. Okay, so if I come back over here, I can say this is done. Okay, what else did I do? I didn't do that much. Speech event. I try not to ever get too attached to one language, but C sharp has a lot of good things about it. Coming from JavaScript, I like typing. I really missed typing when I was doing JavaScript. It's kind of like a safe, easier version of C++. I've heard you can get some of the same direct memory access, but doing some things like using the unsafe keyword, but man, hiccups. No doubt, definitely. The best part about JavaScript is when you want to pass data around, but you really don't want to declare a whole type, and it's got like you can do something like say return, and then just say x3 boom boom blah blah blah. You can just like put a whole bunch of JSON type stuff in there and just return it. And maybe sometimes that's a nice thing to do, because having to declare a type for every single thing you might need all the time is a little bit constrained. JS seems a little more suited towards functional programming, although I guess there's some other variant of C# that's more functional focused. But yeah, I don't know. They're all just tools. Yeah, JS, you can use TypeScript with it. Kind of gives you the best of both worlds. All right, what do I want to do next? I think I'll fix all this stuff here for next. Okay, so character animation binder. And then pass in the character. Make that public. Okay, that seems all right. Okay, so then if I go to characters, it's got all this static stuff. This will no longer be true when I get done with it, so I'll just delete that now. I am kind of tired of this, having this in the same file. It's confusing, so let's add another class here for character. Yeah, delegates are good. I like delegates quite a bit. All right, so let me build and see what breaks. Nothing broke. It's okay, cool. This seems a little verbose how it's written here. Maybe let's just do a constructor and have it set the name. Then I come over here and make these one-liners. Well, I tell you, I'm an old fuck. I've been doing some OOP of some sort since the 90s. And I think the concepts like encapsulation and polymorphism, they are valuable. Inheritance can be overdone. I think it was a good change in modern languages to say multiple inheritance is maybe something we don't need in the language. Instead, to have interfaces and maybe a single inheritance that's possible. I do find myself biased towards using pure data objects and having other classes with methods work on them instead of encapsulating everything inside of the class. That might come more from the functional side. Although I can't honestly say it's so much better that way. One thing about object-oriented programming that has made it less powerful and less preferred as a tool recently is the move away from writing multi-threaded code. So what I mean is, I should say, using thread synchronization to access shared members. MVC. No, not really. So when I say thread synchronization, multi-threaded code, having safe multi-threaded access to members of your class in different threads used to be a really big thing. It's not so much anymore. There tend to be other ways of just making sure that different threads don't access the same data at the same time. So instead of building a little fortress that allows all the different threads to go in and use the data inside of your class, there's things like if you're in Unity, everything's pretty much running on the same thread that your code runs in, and it's time sliced for games, or having only mutable objects get passed around. It can do stuff like that. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Locks out threads when they're being used. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know. Maybe it's kind of like you're telling me. I haven't done any multi-threaded code in C#, so I haven't looked much at it. But I mean, it was pretty often the case that you would have thread synchronization. So you might say, like, inside of a method like this one, like you might say lock, or let's see, wait for mutually exclusive object to be ready. Some mutex. And then once that was available, then you'd be able to go inside of this block and do stuff. So if this function got called by a different thread, then execution would wait here until it was possible to continue. Kind of like a one-way road, or a one-lane road. If you're driving on a one-lane road and you see a car up ahead, you can't both go on the road at the same time. Yeah. All right. So is that the only use of this? Okay. Well, that's kind of cool. Let me make an array. Public static character. It doesn't need to be public. Yeah. So my overall opinion is it's good to know OO, but like I don't think it's as powerful of a tool as it used to be. Oh yeah. Okay. So that's like the way they did it in Java. Maybe it's that same way with C#. Yeah, and then the thread synchronization would just be invoked automatically when you call the method. Yeah. But I mean, you're telling me, you're educating me right now. I haven't done any multi-threading in C#. Okay, all characters equals, what is it? Just say Billy, Damon, M, God, the Maw, song leader, bystander 1, bystander 2. Those are my characters. Get them all in one place. Don't know if I need this anymore. I'll just delete that. Chop Dogga. What on earth am I doing? I'm working out the plumbing for some facial animation messaging and updates. All right, so then we say public static init. Let's see void init. Okay. Let's see, how am I going to bind these things? Because I do have to kind of know what each one goes to. I think I have to put it back how it was a little bit. So then character animation binder, I was going to pass the character in, but what do you think about this? Yeah, like Java and C# have got more DNA in common than C++ and C#. So Microsoft just said, we want our own Java. Make C#. Microsoft's just like, no, we don't want to pay anybody else any money, licensing. Give us our own friggin' Java, but we won't call it Java. Okay, let me think. What did I do here before? I think let me check. That code I deleted. Get status. Get diff. Did I look it up by? Find by name, character name. Character name came from this guy here. Okay, I can still do it this way. Where I pass in the character and I don't have a circular call back to my character's class. Let's do this. Okay, so we go. It's gone like this, and I'll take you way back. I'll leave out some languages too. VB, ASP, VBA, this is junky stuff. C, C++, this is in order basically. And then Java, JS, C#. That's it. I left out some I'm less well versed in, or I only used for like half a year and stuff like that. I guess I did spend a fair amount of time with PHP. So those are my languages. And then if you wanted to cut it off over the last 10 years, right here, that's the 10-year mark. Nope. No COBOL. I think it's drastically overstated also how much COBOL is still in use. There's like some weird COBOL trade association that's making everyone think that a lot more COBOL is in use. No Fortran. Oh, yeah, then ActionScript. I did a shitload of ActionScript, which is the Flash language. And then, alright, if I just want to like be really dorky, there's QBasic, Atari Basic, 80s Basic, basically. Assembly I never did. I mean, I think I probably got an assembly thing to compile once and do something, but I won't claim I properly learned it. Alright, so then we take all this, move that. Alright, so in it we go, we get all the game objects. That archetype, character, animation binder, that's it. It's not. I don't know anything about Blazor. Let's see. I do like the idea of having WebAssembly, though. Not to write in WebAssembly, but just the idea that lots of different languages will compile to WebAssembly. And why did that suddenly stop working? Let's see. What is the thing you want? I thought I had that. Okay. Game object. Okay. And then you're going to say it could be object. Okay, what's your solution? Yeah, okay. I mean, that's good to hear. That would be one of my tests to tell if it was actually a good building block for other languages on top of the browser. Let me say character equals find by name, cab character name. Okay, then call cab init with the character. And that should initialize all the character animation binders all in one go. Also, I want to be able to clear all of these, so let's do, let's see, for each, yeah, let's just do clear characters. Yeah. So that'd be pretty cool. Like, I think I would rather use C# to write a web app than probably JavaScript plus TypeScript. Of course, you'd want all your third-party libraries to work with it too. That might make it harder. That might make it a lot harder. So like if you're good with a certain framework like React, which is JavaScript based, then I don't know, you write a layer over it, or you just switch to something else, or maybe Facebook will port React to different languages. I don't know. Okay, static void clear. Let's just do clear, not clear characters. for each. Yeah, so that's maybe one of the most daunting things about if you were going to start writing code in a WebAssembly based language. Be like your favorite language, the language that you love more than any, like if it was C# or whatever it was. And your next problem would be, oh, but how do I get that library that I rely upon, and or what's the equivalent of that in a much smaller community than what JavaScript has. So that could be a big pain in the ass. Okay, clear, and then I want to add the character, little object-oriented method to clear it. No. Maybe if you can mix and match, then it works well. I don't know. I have no idea how easy it is to mix and match. Get some kind of binding to a library within a different language. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's see. Well, I suppose you could maybe compile the other libraries into WebAssembly. Nah, I don't think it's quite that simple, because the interfaces to call them would be language dependent. Yeah. Okay, so transform equals null. Face controller equals null. Hands equals null. Name, it doesn't matter that much. I could leave name as it is. Yeah, me too. I only know about kind of the concept of it. That's about it. Some of its features, not much. Okay, so that'll clear it. And then let's go to main object. Then I'll just have to check for regressions after this, because I just changed quite a few things. Okay, so here's a giant start from hell for everything. Okay, then we say characters in it. Okay, see if that builds. I'm using Writer, JetBrains Writer, for this Unity coding. When I do web coding, I use, what am I using? It's been a while since I actually did any web code. I think Visual Studio for web coding, but right here, this is Writer. Yeah, I was real happy after I switched over to it. A lot of things got better for me. Okay, so it builds. Let's see if I regressed. I just want to see the basic face animation working like it was. I don't want to have broken anything. Okay, that's all fine. Yeah, I haven't used too much of this refactor stuff now that I think about it. So it's got really great linting. The linting in Rider is very good. It's even Unity specific. So it'll tell me stuff that's sometimes I just have to ignore it, but like it highlights when there's something it considers expensive. And I learned stuff all over the place about how Unity works under the hood based on all its linting. Let me think. Well, let's see. Yeah, so this is an example. So, like this message here, it tells me that the null check on Unity Engine object does more than just check whether or not the object instance is set to null. It also goes and checks if that object if it's unloaded from the scene. So when I do this kind of quick check to see if level controller is null or not, it's correct on this line, and I'm going to actually fix it because I know that it's okay. Let me see. Hold on. Inspection. Possible unintended bypass. Disable once with a comment. I wish I could put this on the end. Could I do it on the end? That would be really preferable to me if I could. Can I just go like that? Does that work? No. Okay. Yeah. Can I add my own comment on the end without messing it up? Yeah. Okay, because I am only because I am using null value set explicitly for indicating no level controller. There we go. So yeah, good linting, very good linting. All right, so if I go back to my little backlog scratch thing here, I can take some more stuff out. This is now fine. I can get rid of all that. Okay. Yeah, you too, man. Okay, so let's add in this unspecified value. I might be depending someplace on these being certain numbers, so let me check where else I've used emotion. Maybe here. Yeah, I don't want to mess up all this stuff. Yeah, well, do you get like, okay, you work alone? Are you like a contractor for a company, or? If you don't mind my asking, it's your private life. Okay, so if I do add one, I'll put it underneath. And that way it won't affect the other logic. Yeah, well, hopefully your startup that you're working for is successful and you get some other devs to talk to. So I'm going to go back to what's next. I think speech. Let's go to speech next. Sounds about right. Every startup I interviewed for a job for was like, well, we'll pay you 25% less than the going market rate or 50% less, but you're going to get some awesome stock options. I'm like, yeah. That's probably why I'm not working for a startup right about now. Oh, yeah, been there, man. Totally been there. Yeah, if it's like the first one or two jobs, it's just almost like, can I be an intern? You know, that kind of thing. But then once you've got just 1 year of experience, then things open up. Yeah, but if you can write code with some level of competency, just hey, I don't know, life is going to be good. There's not enough programmers in the world. Seems like we got too many when you live in a place like Seattle or San Francisco, but truth is, not enough programmers in the world for the demand. So I'd say it's just a matter of time before you're getting paid well. That's true. Yeah, but still, there's not enough. That's basically why, even in like markets like the U.S., where it's maybe double the salary of places like India, and I think it's equalizing very fast. Even in those markets, they still hire, because it's still true. There's not enough people to do all the work that wants to be done. And it barely works to throw money at it, because it has to do with human brains, and like it's not an elitist statement. It's just that not every brain on the planet can do that work. There's other types of work that I can't do, but I don't know. I just feel lucky. I feel lucky that the thing I like doing is actually highly valued. If I wanted to be a librarian or a park ranger or something like that, I would. Even if I had equal aptitude to that trade as I do for writing code, I would not be paid so well. Might be moving to different cities to find a good job, stuff like that. Okay, did I get all the spots? So there should be say now. Okay, say now if new. Okay, and this will just pass a motion. And this will pass. Oops. That. Yeah. So maybe it's a harder market out there than appraising it at. You know, it might be that way. But I can tell you that. So like I'm an engineering manager. That's like my day job. And then my team, we hire web engineers, and I think for web engineers though, it's like entry level for us is considered like 2 years of experience, and we're a fairly picky company, fairly picky. And sometimes somebody can come in with even just 1 year, but like they just like blaze through all the interviews and level really high in the interviews, and we're like, okay, this person's really gonna be something great, so we gotta hire them, you know. So it might be that SharePoint might be a little bit trickier to get into. I don't know. I imagine if you're doing SharePoint, there's often content management type stuff that overlaps with understanding of business, and like you might want to know things about business workflows and stuff like that, and that's hard to get entry level experience in. Interview questions. So actually I wrote an article about this. I'm going to share it with you. Medium. Eric Hermanson. This is not my actual. Hold on, let's do. Okay, Medium. Eric Hermanson. Web devs Breeze. Let me see if I can get to it. Yeah, here it is. Okay, web devs, how to breeze through our text screens. I'm going to drop it in the Twitch URL. So I would go through interviews, conducting interviews, and the devs that came through, they'd make certain mistakes, and it made me think, like, we can't hire these people because they're not doing a good job on the interviews, but it's not quite the same thing as being a bad developer. It's just what they showed us. Can't hire them. And so there's stuff like how you talk. So there's a whole section about okay, so your resume should match your skills. Okay, that's the reason for that is because, like, if you try to put more on there than what you can actually do, it just makes your confidence shot to hell. Plus, you are more likely to screw up, and somebody will say, yeah, this guy is a faker, right? Okay, admit when you don't know things. That's a big deal. Like, if you're just someone who just wants to come off as like really strong, yeah, don't fluff the resume. Pausing. This is like, it's not a technical skill, but just the idea that, you know, I ask an interviewee a question, a lot of times they will just kind of go on and on and on. If they just pause every once in a while, it makes everyone sound way more intelligent. It makes everything go smoother. Some more stuff about kind of putting your words together in a good way. Okay. And coding exercises. You've probably done some coding exercises. Yeah, it implies like a little bit of emotional intelligence too. Like maybe, you know how to be around other people, stuff like that. The coding exercises, people usually at the start of their job cycle, they're not really used to like these little sandbox environments that you go into. And whichever place you're going to go do the interview at, you want to figure out in advance, like, what is the sandbox app that's used. and then you just go in ahead of time, and you won't have the coding exercise they give you. But if you just get like a little bit confident inside of that one sandbox before you go into the interview, it helps a lot. And there's some tricks in here too. It's like being aware of the amount of time you've got left. There's a whole bunch of tricks in here, man. You should look at. And then this thing, show some knowledge about the company. You just got to do a tiny bit of research on the company website, so you know just a tiny little bit about the company. That's it. A lot of people don't. It kind of makes them look like they just want a job, any job. And that's it. That's true. I wasn't saying get the question in advance. I was saying just make sure whatever sandbox that they use, that you've at least sat down and maybe fiddled around, wrote a tiny little 3-line program in it. You know how the trace and debugging works. Just things like that make you feel more confident when you get there, and you're less likely to get tripped up on something. And like example questions. So we'll try to ask stuff like, okay. So, okay, have you seen something like, say, JS Fiddle, for example, or CodePen? Let's go look at CodePen. So what'll happen is, yeah, you'll go into an interview and they'll say, okay, we've got a question or a programming exercise for you to do. And they might have it already set up, and they send you a link, and then you go to that link, and suddenly you're inside of CodePen, or you're inside of JS Fiddle, or Codekata, or something like that. And you'll be like, okay, and they'll say, go ahead, make a web page, and it should have a clock on it, and the clock will count down to 0 from 24, and go. You got 30 minutes. And you'll be in here, and you'll be, okay, this window is obviously for HTML, so I type the HTML in there. This is CSS. I don't understand. Will the JS here apply to this? So if you're screwing around with stuff like how does the sandbox work, it's going to take away from solving the actual problem. You know, like maybe you'll accidentally hit refresh, and then it'll say, hey Ashwin Varatan, you might like hit refresh, and then it just deletes all your code. That happened to me once. I was trying to like see my code be updated on the screen, or the results of it, and I hit refresh, and I lost all my code because I wasn't used to the sandbox, right? So that's what I'm saying. Just basic familiarity with whatever sandbox they're using is going to make you feel a lot more comfortable, and you'll waste less time futzing with the sandbox. Yeah, they won't tell you the question, of course, right? You'll get the question there when you arrive. If they don't tell you, it's okay to ask the recruiter. You say to the recruiter or your contact at the company, could you just let me know which sandbox software you use, e.g. CodePen, JS Fiddle, so that I can make sure I'm prepared for the interview. And if they don't want to tell you, that's fine, but they won't hold it against you for asking. If anything, they would hold it to your credit that you tried to be prepared. All right, let me see if I can knock the rest of this thing out. Okay, so if we go down to say, Maybe so. I was just giving that as like maybe an example. I think I had one company where they asked a question like that. One thing you can't really do is just learn in advance all the questions that are commonly asked. You can more likely just kind of get a sense of the types of questions that are asked and practice a bit if you want to be like really super prepped. The site I saw that was really good for that, what was it? Kata Code Wars, that's the one. If you just want to like be really badass at doing coding exercises and interviews, Code Wars is an awesome place to practice, and it's kind of fun. I've not. I don't know anything about those. Okay, so if I set that. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so that adds that. Okay, I got that. Explicit update. Set the speaking status and emotion of a face when speech clip is first active. So I can find that by finding the subtitle. Display code. Let me look for that. Well, there's one I used to use that was I stopped using it after a while because I saw it popping up, and I felt like it was common knowledge that our company was using it, so I stopped using it. But it was shuffling a deck of cards. So you'd have a data structure that had like all the cards that would be inside of a standard deck of cards, like Ace of Hearts and and so on, 52 cards, and then you have to write an algorithm that takes that data structure and puts the cards in a random order. That one's kind of middle of the road. The other reason I stopped using that one is because it actually benefits people that have Western cultural knowledge about what a deck of cards is. It's a U.S. deck of cards or a European deck of cards. It's kind of biased in that way culturally. One that I've heard many times, which I think is too easy and too common, so it's sort of out of circulation, is reversing the characters of words in a string. So like if you have a string that has a sentence in it, you take each word in that and reverse the letters in it. On the harder side, a question I was asked that was pretty tough it was really convoluted. It was creating a React app that set a pin in the middle of a map and that pin would have some data associated with it. I barely got done in an hour, and the reason it was hard is because it had to be done in the sandbox again. And if you weren't like knowledgeable of the very specific things that happen to be in that coding exercise, like if you weren't knowledgeable about maps, using like Google Maps, for example, then you might spend a half hour trying to get the map thing to work. If you weren't knowledgeable about the callbacks for React to receive an event, and you might have trouble with that. It was in the sandbox environment, so all your normal tools wouldn't be there, and it wasn't like a simple function with input and output. So yeah. That's another thing. Like, if you're on an interview and you need to look something up, then you just say out loud you're looking it up. But if you are like off looking at stuff for like 5 minutes, it doesn't come across well. But if you say like, I'm just double checking, the parameters to pass in for the sort method on a collection, and then you're kind of like looking around for a minute or so, nobody's going to be bothered. Yeah. All right, so let me see. Where is this? Here's the set line here. This is where I would say that the character is speaking. So let's see. I have the speech event, character, face controller, set emotion. Let's say if speech event start emotion not equal emotion unspecified, then we will set the emotion. I think this probably should be encapsulated in a function, but let me just write it out first. What was the other thing I said? Oh, I need a new method to set the is speaking thing. Okay. Speech. I guess, hold on a second. Let's put to do there. Set is speaking. Okay. Then let's go over to. It's different, man. We started out, it was like whiteboards, no sandboxes for coding exercises. People would ask brain teasers. Like, those were stupid. That came from Microsoft. Like, everyone was trying to be like Microsoft back then. So like you might ask a question in an interview about like two trains going into a tunnel at different speeds, and where do they meet in the middle? It has nothing to do with programming. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. I think interviews are better now. That's cool. And there's nothing wrong with whiteboards. It's just most companies have moved on to sandboxes, coding environments. The other thing that's different is there's more interviews now for one position. So a pretty short round of interviews for a company is one that finishes up in one day. Maybe like 4 hours of interviews now. But like in the 90s, it would have been too long, like maybe a couple hours, something like that. And now there's companies like, Google and Facebook, they'll have multiple rounds. So you go into your round 1 interviews and you come back a week or 2 later. So, yeah. In general, I think interviews are better these days, and they correlate with the candidate's value a lot more. Okay. So then we got, let's see, subtitle set is speaking. Okay, so let's go to face controller. Okay, that's true, but to do fade initiation. Okay, there, go back to speech. Here we say speech, character, face controller, set is speaking, true. Okay, it's just a briefer way of declaring a function. It's exactly the same thing as writing a function declaration, but it's just a more concise form. To do refactor. Okay, so then okay, over here, we want to do the opposite. I think it might not have a face controller, so let's do that. Oh, that nonsense. Okay. Let's just encapsulate this now. Let's do this. Default. Yeah, get rid of that. Ah. Yes, better. That's a better one. Let's do that one. Okay. Stop face speaking. And then over here we do start face speaking, and we'll do character, and also let's pass the emotion. Okay. Oh, this has to be speech event character. Okay. Oh. Let's see, what was our thing? Emotion. Oh yeah, this will come from speech event. There we go. So now we'll set the emotion. We'll start the face speaking. Okay. Silence all. Alright, I like to put these in front of anything that calls them. So I'll move them up here. I think these could also be static. Yes, they can. Okay. What else? Need to go to face controller. Do this. If set is speaking. Fade to. Let's get some constants. Fade in, duration. Else, fade to. Okay. That could be everything, but with so much new code, I'm almost certain that it won't work the first time. If I did all this, did all that, okay. Well, it's probably not going to work, but let's just hit play and try it. It's possible. It's possible it might work the first time. I don't think I'm going to maximize it though. I want to see stuff in the console window. It is doing something. No, it's working. It's just the player one is kind of always on for some reason. What's the deal with the player one? Oh, I know. Okay, so you're this lady here in the middle. She is born into this world, and it's like an afterlife, and it's a strange new world, but she tries to make sense of it. She gets into conflict with God, who is represented by those two giant floating hands. And she wanders around the world and solves puzzles and fights things and explores. And so it's like a puzzle-solving adventure game. And she's got some different commands that she can use. And I've got all the levels done. There's like 55 of them now. Let me see, I'll go to a different one that kind of shows more like what the gameplay is like. Let me see, what's a good one? What's a representative one? This one's pretty good. I have to disable the face stuff, which is kind of getting in the way, but so one thing is that nothing moves until you move. You could say it's turn-based, but that sort of implies like you I don't know, a lot more fiddling with pressing buttons and stuff. So you press a key, everything moves. There's this thing called flinging, which lets you move in one direction as far as you want. And there's some silliness going on right now with the speech and faces because it's code I'm working on. But yeah, I don't know. That's the gist. Okay. I think I'm going to call that a stream. Lethal, awesome to hang out with you. Whoever else might be on, welcome. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I've been working on it for a couple of years. So, yeah, I'll catch you later. Again, thanks for hanging out. Yeah. All right, stopping the stream. Stopping the stream now.